Today on Guess What I Found Out, we're going to talk about the majestic, mysterious and slightly ridiculous world of horses. Yes, those overpriced hay guzzlers that humans have been obsessed with for centuries. You might think you know everything about them. Forelegs, tail, occasionally lets people ride them. But buckle up, Curious George, because we're about to trot through some wild facts that'll make you rethink these living lawnmowers. Before we dive in, go ahead and like this video, or a horse somewhere will throw a dramatic tantrum just for the fun of it. And if you want more fascinating facts with a side of sarcasm, follow for more. First, let's talk about horse eyes, because they are massive. In fact, horses have the largest eyes of any land mammal. And to make things even weirder, they've got a third eyelid that moves diagonally like some kind of sci-fi windshield wiper. Combine that with their nearly 360-degree vision, except for two blind spots right in front of their nose and directly below them, and you've got an animal that sees everything except the fence post they're about to walk into. Oh, and if you think your dentist bill is bad, consider this. Male horses have 40 teeth, and females have 36. That's already alarming. But here's the real kicker. Their teeth take up more space in their skull than their actual brain. Let that sink in. You're looking at a creature whose mouth is literally bigger than its mind. Horses have been around for about 55 million years, which means they've had plenty of time to evolve into the large, majestic, slightly neurotic creatures they are today. Their earliest ancestors were the size of a Labrador retriever, adorable but probably not very good at carrying knights into battle. Fun fact, they're actually more closely related to rhinos than cows. So next time you see a horse, just remember, it's basically a long-legged, polite rhinoceros that won't charge you, but might randomly decide it's afraid of puddles. Speaking of weird horse quirks, let's talk about their superpowers. A horse can kick in 0.3 seconds, which is faster than you can blink. For comparison, human reaction time is 1.6 seconds. Meaning, if a horse decides it doesn't like you, you're already in orbit before your brain even processes the betrayal. As for speed, the fastest recorded sprint by a horse was 55 miles per hour, courtesy of a quarter horse named A Long Goodbye. Ironic name for an animal that left its competition in the dust immediately. Meanwhile, thoroughbreds can sustain 40 to 44 miles per hour over short distances, which is bad news if you ever planned on outrunning one. Let's talk about another quirky design flaw. Horses are obligate nose breathers. That means they cannot breathe through their mouths, ever. They also can't burp or vomit thanks to an overachieving valve in their digestive system. So if a horse eats something sketchy, they just have to deal with it, which honestly makes their survival skills even more impressive. Also, they produce 10 gallons of saliva a day. Horses sleep standing up. Why? Because lying down makes them vulnerable to predators. And in their tiny, overworked brains, the ground equals instant doom. So instead they doze in 30-minute power naps, because who needs REM sleep when you have anxiety? Oh, and speaking of brains, a horse's brain weighs about 623 grams, which is roughly half the size of a human brain, but don't let that fool you. These hay-chomping geniuses are almost as smart as dogs, and can even communicate with humans in simple ways. They just choose to pretend they don't understand you. Now let's talk about some absolute horse legends. The tallest horse ever recorded was Samson, a Shire horse standing 7 feet 2 inches tall, basically a walking skyscraper. The oldest horse ever? A guy named Old Billy who lived an astonishing 62 years, 1760 to 1822. I assume he spent the last 30 years of his life side-eyeing every younger horse that complained about hard work. And the most expensive horse? That title belongs to Fusaichi Pegasus, who sold for a mind-blowing $70 million in 2000. Yes, someone paid $70 million for a horse. I assume it could time travel or recite Shakespeare. So there you have it. Horses' history's most dramatic athletes with a knack for survival and an unreasonably high fear of plastic bags. If you enjoyed this little trot through horse facts, make sure to like this video, or a horse somewhere will refuse to cooperate just for spite. And if you want more bizarre animal trivia, follow for more, because you never know when a third eyelid or a saliva factory will come up in conversation. Stay curious, Curious George.